everything, I've got something really big for you. In fact, it's a monster. Yeah, it's the man who created the monster Rocky Horror Show. Allow me to introduce to you Mr. Richard O'Brien.
Hey, Gary.
Very pleased to see you. Richard, what has always amazed me is how a man at the age of 10, or a boy at the age of 10, can go from Cheltenham and go and live in Hamilton in New Zealand, right? Yeah. Work on a sheep farm. His parents wanted you to be a dairy farmer, so should write something about transvestites and Gauls and Rocky Horror. I mean, how did you get that together? How did that come about?
Well, in New Zealand, they have bodgies and widgies, or they did in the 50s.
Bodgies and widgies are what?
Teddy boys and teddy girls, you see.
Yeah,
and being a child of the 50s, I was very much a little bodgy, like you used to call a little bodgy bugger.
Right.
And consequently, I used to go to the late night movies every night. Every Friday night there'd be the double feature.
Yeah. What did you watch there?
Oh, I was a teenage werewolf, that sort of stuff, you know. Any black and white sort of horror stuff.
Right.
Not necessarily because I liked it, but I got to like it.
Where did the musical aspect come about? Because of course you wrote the Rocky Horror Show.
Well, I loved rock and roll, always have done, and always will do, and always wrote songs and played rock and roll. I still do.
And you've got this amazing collection of sheet music, I believe.
Well, I think most of it's gone now. You know, I've moved a lot, and I keep losing things in the move.
And what about this hobby of you painting rude angels? What's that about?
Well, that's because I really like people artists that draw their obsessions, you see. They're my favourite artists. I'm not much into landscape, although I appreciate it very much. But I like the darker aspects of the psyche, you see.
Because there's quite a bit of Gothic about you all the way through. This runs completely through.
Yes, I love Gothic literature. I love Gothic furniture. In fact, I should have bought all the Gothic revival furniture going 3 years ago because I knew it was going to
I think most of it's
turn around.
Boy George, I think.
Well, it's...
Now, what do you think about... In the 70s now, in 73, the Rocky Horror came about. At that time, I know that I was, I suppose, with Bowie, Bolan... and myself were putting theatre into rock and roll. You were putting rock and roll into theatre.
Yes.
Did that seem like it? I mean, on reflection now?
No, it was a conscious decision to actually try and get rock and roll into theatre. I knew what was happening in the rock and roll world, although I wasn't connected to it. I was sort of a creature of the theatre. Yeah. And it excited me so much that I knew that there was a way to get rock and roll into theatre, but from the other direction.
And the other amazing thing was that I actually played, I think you know this, and I played Frankenfurter
in New
Zealand.
In Hamilton.
And I was living in Paris at the time, and I had to go and find out what, you know, I wanted to lip sync my script that I'd got because the opening line said, unlock a mind, on mind a lock, it's the same as the beginning of the end, do you follow? Which threw me into absolute panic. And I thought, I'll go along to the local cinema and see what's going on. And to my amazement, after a Fellini film, about 12 o'clock at night, there was all the Rocky Horror kids. And they were all dressed up in the characters that they were going to portray. And in the cinema, I'm sitting there and I'm watching the script, and all these French kids are aiming at the cinema, identifying with the whole thing. Now, what about this audience participation? It's quite amazing.
Well, I'm pleased to hear it's happening in France, because the French don't have a very... I don't hold the French very high in my esteem. I guess I'm a racist in that sense. Well, because they can't say rock and roll for a start, can they? They're going to say, okay,
that's right.
Which doesn't... You know, and all their heroes are, I was going to say taxi drivers, racing car drivers.
But they certainly, that night, they were rocking along to that in a big way. Now, what is happening to Rocky Horror now? Because, you know, we had it on in London, in Baker Street. It was on every night for nearly 12 years, or no, 8 years at the cinema. I mean, what is happening now with it?
Well, it's still going the rounds. It's still a big cult in America. I guess about 200 cinemas right across the United States every weekend are showing this movie. There's the tour of it out in Australia.
Let me interject, Richard. I just want to say that we have, look, the Rocky Horror book here, which is quite amazing. And I would willingly give away 10 of these if you'd like to write in. Now, first of all, the question is a competition. The question is, name the doctor in the Rocky Horror Show. okay? Name the Doctor in the Rocky Horror Show, and you write to the Leader Night Network Competition, P.O. Box 90, London, SE19PR, right? And you must arrive, your cards must arrive by Wednesday, okay? Mark it the Leader, all right? Richard, thank you very, very much for joining us. I'm sorry it was short. Thanks for being on my first interview ever.
Who do you suppose watching at this time of night?
Millions and millions of Rocky Horror fans and Glitter fans, I hope. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
after the break is Jeff Cantor guesting for the Axeman on WTNN. See you soon. Bye-bye.